In last class, means yesterday, we were discussing about IP packet, but no one is able to understand it. And finally, you all have given me request, sir. So I will do it, but in a fast and brief manner. Okay. Because what? See, first thing, network link. First point, logical address. Logical address. And logical address is managed by Internet Protocol, and it is available into version 4 and version 6. Correct? This provides a unique identity to different network nodes. Network node means you can say anything: router, switch, computer, firewall. Okay. Now, here at this network layer, you have to study about IPv4 and IPv6 both. Even subnetting, BLSM, supernetting, everything you have to study. I have already taught all this because it takes too many classes. Fine. Then all concepts of routing, NAT, even VLAN also, proxies also. Approx 60 to 70% part of your CCR. Look. Now IPv4, V4, I think you also give me points. That's why I can complete it fastly. 32 bit. It has 32 bits divided into 4 parts. Each part has. But we are talking about only 30. 4 divided into 4 parts, and each part has 8 bits. In short, fine. Okay. Now 5 classes. Classes A, B, C, D, and E. To define class, this IP address, the first group of IP address value is used. Its range is actual range is 0 to 55. To define class A, 0 to 127, B, 128 to 191, C, 192 to 223, D, 224 to 239, and E, 240 to 255. Fine. In case of class A, 8-bit network bit, and all these are host bit. Fine. Subnet mask, default subnet mask of class A is 255.0.0.0. Okay. Then class B, again 4 part. First 2 part will be used to define network, and last 2 part will be used to define host. And its default subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. Then class C, first 3 part is used to define different network. That's why it has 24 network bits, it has 16 network bits, it has 8 network bits. Fine. And subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Is it correct? And on the basis of these values, we can calculate number of networks, number of hosts. And what about class D? Class D is only used for multicasting. And class E, not used. Clear? Fine. You all have studied it. If anybody has any doubt, you can ask. Any doubt? Fine. Now, yes. 240 to 255. You all are writing down it. Please write down it. Sorry.
So he is asking that why E class is created if it does not use till now.
Look, all these are based on a logic. Fine. And in first class, if you will see it carefully, its range is 128 total. And just in the class B, range is 64. Just half of 128. And in class C, just half of 64, 32. And in class D, 16. Getting? So in this pattern or logic, 5 classes are available. Finally, developers have tried to use all these classes, but they have not got success. Finally, they left the class B. Till class D, they are able to use. There is a logic. You have to divide. And why we are taking values like 128, then just half 64? No, no. Actually, this is the concept of your binary number. Because if we take 1 bit means 2 values, just 2 bit means 4 values. 3 bit means just 8 values. Is it correct or not? So in case of binary, if we will increase, it will increase just by double. And if we will decrease, it will decrease just by double. And pattern, if you will see it in binary pattern, then the class A pattern is 0, 1, start bit. Then class B, 1, 0. Class C, 1, 1, 0. Class D, 1, 1, 1, 0. So there is a program logic. Fine? All are done? Now, for more detail, you can go through my previous notes. In that previous notes, I have given you a full detailed concept of this class A, B, C, D, E. Now from these class, there are some reserved IP address. IP, and this reserved IP is 0 series of class A. For which purpose? For default route. And this route is always configured in case of ISP, because when we get a connection from ISP gives me a install a router in our premises or office anywhere, and at that router this single route is used to forward query of any query of user directly to the ISP. With the help of single route, we can communicate through all networks present in the world, because all routes are available at ISP.
Sir, there is a question. ISP are different.
ISPs are different, okay?
So then how do we recognize that which type of ISP I want to share?
You want to share.
Like, sir, I will search something, it will redirect to the ISP.
Okay.
Then
If you want to say, sir, for example, I'm just searching Flipkart. Means you are searching a website. Then how ISP will decide that where is Flipkart? Is it your question? No. I have taught you many things, like DNS. Your web server, your routing, everything. Whenever, suppose this is the ISP and there is a Google server, there is a Flipkart server, there is a Hotmail server. We don't know where is the Google, where is the Flipkart, where is the Hotmail. But I have got a connection at my machine from ISP. In this case, what happens? In this case, this user, for example, is trying to open a Flipkart web page. This router will only direct the request to the ISP, and this ISP has multiple DNS servers. This DNS server will help the ISP to find out where is Flipkart. Fine. Now, finally, this ISP has got information. Okay, user is trying to open Flipkart and its IP is, for example, 10. I am writing in short. 10. Now, then ISP tries to search 10 IP in the all network with the help of multiple DNS servers, not only a single DNS server. Finally, Flipkart will respond to this IP. And ISP will transfer that reply to this node. And finally, this node's user is able to open Flipkart. This is a simple concept. We all have done it in case of your server paper also. We have created a domain, DNS, everything. Fine. So now see, just I'm going to keep this. This is the default route IP, and this route is only used at this router. Only this route. Otherwise, as per the concept of routing, this router should have information about all networks which are available in the world. In this case, only a user will be able to find out any network web server. But if this router is going to keep root information about millions of network, in that case, this router capacity should be very high. Its configuration should be very high. So, for economical internet service, ISPs provide only a single router, a small router. At this router, there is a single route that is generated. With the help of this route, your request is just forwarded to the ISP. Clear? Now find okay, actually this is a rough diagram. Just I have drawn it to give answer of Rohit's question. What happens? He is doing like I think for a few moments you are feeling yourself that I am ISP. I have to search with card. Fine. Now, one more reserved IP, that is 127.0.0.1 and reserved for loopback testing. Self-testing of a service like DNS, your NIC. You can ping your machine without any connectivity with the help of this IP. These two belong to class A, but there is one more IP, 169.254.x.y. Anything can be at X or and Y. Now see. Loopback testing is self-testing. Loop, do you know? Loop very well. Okay, iteration. So if you want to ping your machine with your own IP, without IP configuration, there is no IP configuration. You have just installed NIC driver, and you are trying to ping your own machine. It means you are trying to loop back your IP. You will ping your machine, and your machine will reply. But you are just a user. You are just a clicker. Actually, system is requesting and system is replying. A single system is doing both things. If there is a look back. Clear? Fine. Now this is 169.254. This is a APIPA address. APIPA. APIPA. Automatic private IP address. Whenever a node tried to get an IP address from DHCP, and unfortunately, DHCP is not available in the network, or there is some issue. That issues can be different. Overall, you are not able to get an IP address from DHCP. Means automatically you are not able to get an IP address. In this case, after few seconds, your TC or your node will assign an IP address itself, and that IP address will belong to this network. That's why 169.254 range IP is known as a reserved IP. 169.254 series is reserved for APIPA to get an automatic IP from your system, not from DHCP. your system will assign an IP address from this range. But in which case? When your system will not able to get an IP address from PSC. Clear? Fine. Now this is the reserved IP address. Now private IP address. Actually, developers have given few series of IP address which can be used in any private network by any user without any permission, without any registration. Means user will be free to use these IP addresses. And with the help of these addresses, you can also communicate on WAN by using few techniques. But to use an IP address in our network without any registration, few network series of class A, B, and C have been given by the developer. These IP addresses of class A is 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. And in class B, yes, 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255. And in class C, 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. Correct? Okay, fine. Now this is reserved, this is private. And rest all IP addresses are public IP address. Public IP. If you want to connect your network to the public network, in this case, you must have two IP addresses, one from this private range and another from this public range. This public range IP will give you a unique identity in all over the world. And with the help of this public IP, or you can say unique identity, you and your network will be uniquely identified. But in this case, there must be a technique by which you can translate your internal IP, your private IP, into outside IP, means public IP. For example, just this is my network, and this is the public network. You can say ISP, and you have got a connection here. Don't think about only about internet. ISP, fine, internet service provider, but ISP does not only provide internet service, it provides WAN connection also. Fine. In this case, suppose ISP have given you IP 1.1 and you are using a private IP in your network like 192. Mostly people are using 192. 192. Anything 192, 168. Now, if anybody is trying, so just I'm putting an example. Is if there is a DVR machine used for camera, and many camera, and you would like to see the video of your camera, then outside of any network, outside of your network. Suppose you are in Canada, Australia, Japan, anywhere in the world, and you are trying to view your office activities. Then in that case, in this network, private IP is being used. private IP is being used.
Yes, sir.
Then how? Suppose you are present in America, USA right now, and you are trying to hit this DVR machine. Then after only you will be able to see the captured videos by your office camera. Then there must be a unique identity of your network by which you can hit your network from America. And when you will hit your network, then you can access this DVR.
So we can use one as a subject.
No, this is not subnet, this is IP address. In this case, this IP address will be your unique identity, UID. And you will hit this IP address from USA, you will hit 1.1, and your request will come to this router. And when it will come to this router, then your request will be forwarded to this DVR machine. And with the help of DVR machine, you will access your
You
camera.
have to tell them which type, which networks I want, like which IP I want.
Which IP?
I want to read.
Yes, 1.1.
So 1.1 is a buffer, but now 1.1
Yes.
is also divided into multiple parts.
No, 1.1 has not been divided. Actually, this IP is used
So
for unique identity, and your private network is totally based on 192.168. For example, 16. Okay, and these all IP addresses will communicate on WAN through this IP. In public network, the all nodes identity will be only 1.1. Only 1.1. No one knows about 192.
this is what I know that I have,
Okay.
and I will read 1.1,
One.
and then it reconnect to the that switches,
Yes.
and there is the switch.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Then how we read the particular machine.
Oh, if you have to read the particular machine, in this case, there is a technique which we use at router that is known as port forwarding. In port forwarding, we mention if anybody hits 1.1, then that hit should come with a specific port number. Mostly we use 8080. A specific port number to, for example, our DVR machine's IP is 192.168.1.150. Fine. And this is a single line. Then when a user will hit this IP, there is a hit. Then with the help of this port number, this will come to our DVR, which IP is I'm just writing 150, and then your camera will be
But
accessed.
directly, if we it is done, it will
No.
directly direct to the DVR.
No, because this port number is required to open it at your browser. At every time, whenever you open any web page, there is a port number. Fine. HTTP 80, HTTPS 443. But what about this? Because just think, just a small thing. This DVR is giving a web page. Is this DVR has few feature of web server? That is a very small feature. Now you all are thinking that it is very difficult. We have to configure different things at our machine. But I'm giving you one more extra knowledge. Now in these days, people are not using this type of concept. Mostly people are not. But for security purpose, people are using this concept only. And what about the rest? Rest persons are using application. All these things are based on application. Even this network also. people are using only a particular web server and DNS server that is provided by the camera manufacturer company. Hikvision, okay, registered on Hikvision website, domain. CP Plus, registered on CP Plus. In this way, your all camera capturing will go through the Hikvision, go through the CP Plus. Now it all depends upon the Hikvision and CP Plus what they will do. People are thinking, okay, fine, we are in comfortable zone. We have no need of a public IP. It is very simple. I'm just using an application of Hikvision or CP Plus or any company. And we have just registered by giving few values only. And we are able to access our camera. Fine. Sorry? Fine. Okay. Now you can understand what is public IP. Now, what is the range of public IP? Rest all IP addresses except reserved and private are public IP address of class ABC. Clear? Used for unique identity. Yes. Sorry. Fine. This is IPv4. In next class, again, actually, most of the time I am thinking that I'm repeating everything again. Otherwise, I will take hardly 5 to 7 classes for DCN. Okay, fine. I'm going to just stop this class. And I have to mark your attendance also.